6144. In planning any instructional activity, the first consideration should be to A. Determine the overall objectives and standards. B. Establish common ground between the instructor and learner. C. Identify the blocks of learning which make up the overall objective. The correct answer is A. The first consideration in planning any instructional activity should be to determine the overall objectives and standards. Before beginning the instructional process, it is important to have a clear understanding of what you want to achieve and what standards or criteria will be used to measure success. By establishing the overall objectives, you can define the desired outcomes of the instruction and set clear expectations for both the instructor and the learner. Identifying the overall objectives helps in shaping the instructional content, selecting appropriate teaching methods, and designing assessments to evaluate the learner's progress. It provides a guiding framework for the entire instructional process and ensures that the instruction is focused and purposeful. Therefore, the statement that the first consideration in planning any instructional activity should be to determine the overall objectives and standards is true. It sets the foundation for effective instruction and helps ensure that the instructional goals are clearly defined and aligned with the desired outcomes. 6144-1. Objectives consist of which elements? A. Flight training scenarios, judgment assessment, and maneuver assessment. B. Cognitive skills, affective skills, and psychomotor skills. C. Description of the skill or behavior, conditions, and criteria. The correct answer is C. The description of the skill or behavior outlines what the learner is expected to be able to do or demonstrate at the end of the instruction. It specifies the specific knowledge, skill, or competency that the learner should acquire. The conditions describe the circumstances or context in which the skill or behavior is expected to be performed. This includes any relevant factors, limitations, or requirements that may affect the performance of the skill. The criteria establish the standards or performance expectations for the skill or behavior. They define the level of proficiency or quality that the learner needs to achieve in order to meet the objective. Criteria may include accuracy, speed, safety, effectiveness, or any other measurable criteria relevant to the specific objective. By including all three elements in the objectives, instructors can provide clear guidance to learners about what they are expected to achieve, under what conditions, and to what level of proficiency. This helps in aligning the instruction with the desired outcomes and enables effective assessment of the learner's progress and achievement. 6144-2. An aviation instructor should write performance-based objectives. A. To fit the desired outcome of the lesson. B. That match the practical test standards or airman certification standards. C. That also work with decision-based objectives. The correct answer is A. An aviation instructor should write performance-based objectives to fit the desired outcome of the lesson. Performance-based objectives focus on what the learner will be able to do or demonstrate at the end of the instruction. They emphasize the desired performance or behavior rather than just acquiring knowledge. These objectives specify the actions, skills, or tasks that the learner should be able to perform. By writing performance-based objectives that are aligned with the desired outcome of the lesson, the instructor ensures that the instruction is targeted towards developing the necessary skills and competencies. The objectives serve as a guide for designing and delivering the instruction effectively. While it is important for the objectives to align with practical test standards or airman certification standards, the primary consideration should be the desired outcome of the specific lesson or instructional activity. The objectives should reflect the goals and objectives set for that particular learning experience. 6147. In planning instructional activity, the second step is to A. Develop lesson plans for each period or unit of instruction. B. Identify blocks of learning which constitute the necessary parts of the total objective. C. Develop a training syllabus that will serve as a guide for conducting training at each level of learning. The correct answer is B. In planning instructional activity, the second step is to identify blocks of learning which constitute the necessary parts of the total objective. After determining the overall objectives and standards, the first step, the instructor needs to break down the objectives into smaller, manageable units or blocks of learning. These blocks represent the essential components or sub-objectives that, when combined, contribute to achieving the overall objective. By identifying the blocks of learning, the instructor can organize the instruction in a logical and systematic manner. Each block represents a specific topic, skill, or concept that needs to be addressed during the instruction. These blocks can be sequenced in a logical order, building upon each other to ensure a progressive and comprehensive learning experience. The identification of blocks of learning helps in structuring the lesson content, determining the instructional strategies and resources needed, and assessing the learner's progress. It provides a clear roadmap for the instructor to follow and ensures that all the necessary elements of the total objective are covered in a structured and effective manner. 6148. Each of a training syllabus includes A. Attention, motivation, and overview. B. Introduction, development, and conclusion. C. Objective, content, and completion standards. The correct answer is C. A training syllabus typically includes the following components. 1. Objective. The objective clearly states what the learner is expected to achieve or demonstrate at the end of the training. It describes the desired outcome or skill that the training aims to develop. 2. Content. The content section outlines the specific topics, concepts, or skills that will be covered in the training. It provides a breakdown of the learning material or curriculum that the instructor will present to the learners. 3. Completion standards. Completion standards define the criteria or performance indicators that will be used to assess whether the learners have successfully achieved the training objective. These standards help evaluate the learner's proficiency and determine if they have met the desired level of competence. By including these components in a training syllabus, the instructor provides a clear structure and guidance for the training process. The objective sets the goal, the content provides the necessary knowledge or skills, and the completion standards establish the criteria for success. This ensures that the training is focused, organized, and measurable.